Welcome back to another video, guys. Um, yeah, apparently my Gilbert Burns take was way off. It actually aged like spoiled milk. Aged terribly. Gilbert got clapped. And that hurts me to say. I love Gilbert. Gilbert got annihilated. Um, Mike Malott won the first and the second round clearly, and then went out there and finished Gilbert in the third round. So yeah, you get them wrong every now and again. You know you can't get them right all the time, but no, genuinely, that was a really good win for Mike Malott, and I mean, you heard in my little breakdown video I did. I just didn't see that coming. I didn't see a scenario where I felt like he would beat Gilbert, just because I didn't think he was better than Gilbert anywhere, and from what we have seen from Mike Malott previously, he hasn't beaten anyone that has been like the same level as the guys that have beaten Gilbert. Does that make sense? Yeah, Mike looked really good. He went out there, controlled the distance, kept the fight at the range he wanted, didn't let Gilbert really get inside on him. Gilbert kept trying to land that big overhand right that he likes to throw. He wasn't really throwing anything in front of it. He was kind of just throwing it out there by itself, which usually on someone who's good, you're not going to land just a naked big shot. You want to put that shot behind some things. Yeah, Mike didn't let him do that. He nullified all the grappling. I think he stuffed all of Gilbert's takedowns. I don't think Gilbert landed any. I don't think he shot any in the first round. He shot some in the second. Yeah, he controlled the fight everywhere. He didn't let Gilbert get into any type of rhythm. He kept the fight on his terms. That's the biggest thing. He kept the fight on his terms. Not to say Malott is Michael Morales, but it reminded me of what Michael Morales did to Gilbert. And Henry Hoof talked about it in the corner with Gilbert. Is Gilbert does a lot of he'll do that long guard, but he'll just put his head down. And younger Gilbert, he might circle out as he's doing that, but the older version of him, he was just doing that long guard, putting his head down, and then he was getting chewed up by that uppercut. And also Mike Malott kept throwing that big like looping right hand around the side of Gilbert's guard, which kept landing on like Gilbert's temple. And that ended up, I believe, being like one of the finishing blows before the ground and pound. Yeah, man, Gilbert, that's 5 in a row. He ended up retiring. So, retired on a 5-fight losing streak. And Gilbert is one of those guys that, in my opinion, I put up there as one of like the best fighters to never win a belt. He gave Hamzat the fight of his life, toughest fight of his career. He knocked down Usman, had a lot of success in his fight against Usman for the belt. Before this 5-fight losing streak, he only lost to Hamzat and Kamaru Usman at welterweight. Yeah, Gilbert, great everywhere, super explosive on the feet at his peak, amazing grappling. Yeah, just was never able to get over the hump. Unfortunately, things just don't always line up. It shows you how hard it is to win a belt, I think, in MMA. Obviously, you have to be like supremely talented, but even if you have that, you might just be in the wrong era where there's a guy just a little bit better than you, or just the wrong matchup for your style. And I think that's Gilbert. I think Gilbert is as good as a lot of guys who have had the belt, if not better. It's just time and place, The era he's in, he just wasn't able to get the belt. I don't think that having the belt tells the full story of how great of a fighter he was. And now on the Mike Malott perspective, it's tough because this matchup, obviously I was incorrect in my the last video. I think Mike Malott is actually better than how I described him. He did some things in there that did show me he does actually have really good. I said he has a really good all-around game, but I think his striking is a little bit better than I thought, and he does have some pretty decent power as well, which can, take you kind of far. It can take you to a certain level in any division. But it's tough to tell how. Damn, Tank, get out of here, dude. Tripping me in my own video. Watch out. It's tough to tell how much of this is Mike Malott is that good or Gilbert is just that washed. I think it's probably a combination of the two things, because I still don't see Mike Malott beating anyone in like the top 5. They're pushing him, and now they're definitely going to push him a little more as this Canadian like top prospect, but he's about to be 35. So the clock is really ticking. I'd say he probably has another 2 years, like max, just because like your physical prime does not last late into your 30s, especially at the lower weight classes. I mean, if you're looking at 185 and above, maybe, but 170 and below, it's a lot tougher. You slow down, your reflexes get slower. It's just, yeah, it's harder as you get older. Everything slows down, you deteriorate. So he's got to make the most of what he's got right now. Welterweight rankings: JDM, Ian Gary, Michael Morales, Bilal Muhammad, Carlos Prates, Sean Brady, Usman, Edwards, Buckley, Gabriel Bonfim, Gilbert Burns, who just retired, MVP, Euros Medic, D-Rod, and Colby Covington is somehow top 15. Don't know how that works, but there's a couple ways they could go from here. My personal top pick, who I would like to see Mike Malott fight next, because again, I want to see him. Gilbert Burns, at any point in his career, is going to be a tough test, but I just don't know how much tread he really had left on the tires going into that fight. So it's tough to tell how much of that win is Mike Malott versus Gilbert just being, washed at this point. I would like to see Mike Malott fight someone who is in their prime. This guy's not the biggest name, but he fucking fights like an animal, and he'll primarily be on the feet, but just a dog. I want to see Mike Malott versus Euros Medic. I like that because, yes, he's number 13, which is behind Gilbert, and Mike Malott just beat Gilbert, who was at 11. But I think that is a great test for him. Now, if the UFC wants to go a different route, which is just giving him more name value, you could go Colby, or they could go Leon. I know they're kind of talking about Leon versus D-Rod, but you could also do Leon versus Mike Malott. I think that'd be a great fight. Leon, that'd be like a must-win for him to really see where he's at. But if Mike Malott beats Leon, a former champion who's good everywhere, it's another big name on his resume and a big win. I don't see them going anywhere in front of that. Obviously, Brady and Buckley are about to fight. Usman's not fighting anybody outside of Islam, I don't think. Yeah, they're not giving him anyone like Gary, Prates, and JDM are fighting. Maybe they do Bilal, just because, like I said, Malott is 35. He's about to be 35, so it's like you gotta go now if you're gonna go. To see what he has and how big he can be for you in like the Canadian market. If you're gonna push him to the front, you gotta do it now. So maybe they skip giving him a guy, like Euros Medic or Leon, and maybe they go straight for that top 5. I wouldn't hate that if you do Mike Malott versus Bilal. Charles Jourdain and Kyler Phillips, that was a great fight. It's pretty close. I think you could have made an argument for either guy. I scored it for Charles Jourdain, and that was just a really fun fight. There were some decent fights on the card. Not a lot of names. I felt like the card was really weak, personally. But those last 2 fights were really good. Charles Jourdain, I think that was a big win for him at 135. Really quick, before we get out of here, we could look at the rankings there as well and see, because I think he should crack the top 15 with that. Fareed Basharat, Montel Jackson, Raul Rosas, Vinicius Oliveira. Ooh. if Loke Dog doesn't go up to 145, I like that fight. I like that fight a lot. You could even do man, the rankings at 135 are weird because I personally think Mario Bautista should be ahead of Song Yadong. I don't think Mario Bautista should be ranked number. How is Mario Bautista ranked behind Davison? How is he ranked behind Figgy? Or even Eamon? How is he ranked behind Eamon? I don't know. UFC rankings are weird. Yeah, Charles Jourdain versus Cheeto. Charles Jourdain versus Montel Jackson versus Loke Dog. Those are all good fights, but I do think he deserves a fight in the top 15. That is all I got for you guys. I wanted to touch on my horrible Gilbert Burns and Mike Malott take. I, again, did not see Mike Malott doing anything special, and I thought Gilbert only lost to the top echelon of guys in the division. I didn't think an unranked Mike Malott was going to be able to do that to him, but Mike Malott did it, and he sends Gilbert packing into retirement after Gilbert had a great career. That is all I got for you guys today. Give me your thoughts below about Gilbert's career and where does Mike Malott go from here. I will see you in the next video.